Happy Monday, everybody. I hope you guys had a great weekend and you guys are all motivated to put it down this week and make it happen. But I wanted to get on here and talk with all of you guys that, again, come to my channel, check out our content, final expense, telesales, compliance, lead generation. That's been our core message for many, many years. And recently, with so many people being sued and getting demand letters from litigators, you get a lot of people out there, talking about live transfers, just how dangerous they are. And today I want to give you guys just a kind of an overview for all of you guys that are new to telesales, what to look for when you're looking to buying leads. And on here today, we got some of our agents that are diligently on here as well, selling insurance, pitching deals. So they're going to be able to listen into as well. So how can you avoid getting in trouble from buying leads? Because that's the problem. Everyone is scared to buy live transfers. But let's break it down. Let's break it down. Step one. Where do leads start, Luis?
From some sort of social media platform or
So,
advertising platform.
right. So any company that is going to sell you a live transfer of a interested party, of someone that's interested, it starts somewhere. So the call center has to have the data, the lead, the information in order to call, because then they wouldn't have anything to transfer to you, right?
Correct.
So when you guys are out there searching for leads and you come across a call center marketing firm that's going to sell you a live final expense transfer, the first thing that you need to identify is the data source or the advertisement that these people saw that motivated them to call in. Correct?
Right, correct.
And that can be a range of Facebook, TV, radio, internet, you name it.
Right.
You name it. These are all sources. But at that point in time, you have a choice. You can either one, buy it as a live transfer, or you can buy it as an inbound. And what is the difference to you, Luis, when you hear that? You can buy it. You can buy this data directly off the conveyor belt, right off the conveyor belt. So if if the marketing firm is running Facebook leads, you can buy that lead, right?
Right.
Directly in the form of an inbound. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the best lead. Right from the ad, with no one involved, where the consumer sees the advertisement and then they call in, and when they call in, your phone rings. That is the most safest lead possible. Why? Because they called in on the day that they wanted the information. But then again, some might say, yeah, but those inbounds tend to be a little bit more expensive than some of these marketing firms that are promoting what? Live transfers, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, why are they expensive? Because this data source, anytime you pay marketing, it's not cheap, ladies and gentlemen. It is not. It is very expensive to run ads on television, Facebook, and I'm talking at a capacity where you getting your phones ringing nonstop, it's expensive. So at this point in time, you as the new agent, you have a choice, a purchasing choice. You can either A, pay a little bit more money and buy the lead directly from the source to your phone number, or you can buy it from a call center that specializes in live transfers, and they're going to be a lot less expensive. Now, why are they expensive? Let me explain to you why. Because what the call centers typically do is that they buy all that data just like you, but they buy all of the data that either no one picked up the phone on, or maybe it's age data. So again, the call center receives all of these requests from the consumer that were looking for a final expense quote, and they commit to buying all of it. Then the call center verifies that every customer's details, the name, the age, address, and obviously there's an interest level there. But the call center verifies by doing what? By contacting that person. And once they have someone interested, they transfer it to you. Now, the reason the cost of the inbound is going to be more expensive than the cost of a live transfer is because you are getting on an inbound the hottest lead in real time. When the call center gets that lead, they are going to nurture that lead. They are going to call that lead, and you might not talk to that person a day or two or three or maybe a week or two later. So one, the quality is going to be a lot less because the intent is going to be a lot less different than in the moment in time the person saw the advertisement and called, and then in real time connected with you. Now, what happens? After 90 days, a call center that is following all of the rules, their CRM system will automatically filter out every one of those leads that's over 90 days old to avoid calling anyone on the national DNC. Okay, the national DNC. So for all of you guys that are new and did not know this, this is a problem for you. Because again, when that person sees the advertisement and calls in real time, it creates a timestamp. And from that timestamp, we have 90 days where we can contact this person and talk to them about final expense, regardless if this person's on the national do not call registry. Call centers only transfer a warm consumer to the life insurance agent that, again, has consented for the information within 90 days of that request. So where is the risk? The risk comes if you don't know where this call center is located. You don't know who's involved in this call center operation. And you don't know exactly if this call center is following all of these steps. And the reality is that many call centers are cold calling a mix of numbers of people that ask for the info and other people that has been over 90 days old. Most call centers don't have their SANS numbers, aren't registered with the government as telemarketers. And because of this reason, they don't have a way to accurately check the DNC registry. So now imagine if you have people that you don't personally know You don't know where they're operating from. And they are cold calling on your behalf, representing you and your agency, soliciting people for final expense. So where's the risk, Luis? Where do you see the risk?
I see a very minimal risk with this approach.
And why?
Because it's a consumer reaching out to us, right? Not only I was going to share, not only is the quality a better quality, it's a handoff, but also more importantly, the compliance behind it, behind the architecture of this structure here. It's extremely important. I mean, I was almost a victim of falling into a professional litigator. um, but the way this is set up here, it's just much more minimal risk here.
That's right. Because all of the data and all of our leads came from a verified source. Facebook,
Exactly.
TV, TikTok, and people call us. And once they call us, a call center that's doing it legitimately is going to manage every one of those leads for no more than 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
Now, cold calling leads, the risks. Please be advised that most overseas call centers, they rely on subscription-based DNC checking systems. And these tools are highly, highly risky because, again, they're not 100% accurate. Not 100% accurate. So imagine.
And it's not consumer initiated.
And it's not consumer initiated. So again, most of these call centers are calling on a data source that is maybe over 90 days old from the moment in time that person asked for the info. But at this point in time,
Mm-hmm.
it's a cold call. And at that point in time, think of this. There's over 330 million Americans. And did you know that more than 72% of the US population is registered on the Do Not Call registry, ladies and gentlemen? So let that sink in.
That's scary.
Imagine if the call center that you hired, that one you don't know where they're located, you don't know who is operating it, but they're telling you that they're following all the rules and they're cold calling people on your behalf, on behalf of Luis Menera Agency. And every day they're dialing on thousands of numbers a day. Let's say 10,000 numbers a day to send calls to you, Luis. That's 10,000 dials a day. Imagine if only 1% were not accurate because the call center cut a corner because they're not registered with the US government to telemarket, meaning they don't have the actual registry, the accurate registry. Imagine what 1% would mean to you if they were dialing 10,000 numbers a day.
That's a huge risk. 10%, I mean, such a small percentage makes a huge impact.
Think about that. And let's be real. Call centers dial thousands, especially if the numbers that they're calling on were not customer initiated. If these are cold numbers of lists of just random names and numbers based on their age and income, imagine that. 72% of Americans are registered on that. Another issue with call centers is that most call centers, because they use these subscription-based VoIP systems, they use spoofed numbers. They use this technology to get people to pick up the calls when they see a local area code. But what happens with those spoofed numbers? When you call that number back, it's a dead number. Mm-hmm. How many times have you gotten a call and you call the person right back and it was spoofed? It was dead. You heard a boop and it died.
Oh yeah.
That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is a spoof number. And the violations for a spoof number is $10,000 in California. Also, area code manipulation. Years ago, the CRMs would adjust the area codes to match the person you were calling. That is no longer approved. And also, when you call that person, you got to identify yourself on behalf of who you're calling. So imagine, is the call center calling on your behalf? Or are they calling on behalf of a bunch of other people? Having a call center, ladies and gentlemen, cold calling leads after 90 days, it's very dangerous. And if you're not registered with the federal government to check the DNC, you can risk major lawsuits. In fact, let me share something else with you guys. And what I mean by that, major lawsuits, look at what the Federal Trade Commission on their website, ftc.gov business, and look at under Q&A for telemarketers and sellers about DNC provisions. Look at number 10, what it says. How does the established business relationship provision work for a consumer whose number's on the registry? A company with which a consumer has an established business relationship may call for up to 18 months after the consumer's last purchase or last delivery or last payment, unless the consumer asks the company not to call again. In that case, the company must honor the request not to call. If the company calls again, it may be subject to a fine of up to $53,000. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this applies to us here. If a consumer makes an inquiry, a lead, or submits an application to a company, the company can call for 3 months. Once again, if the consumer makes a specific request to that company not to call, the company may not call, even if it has established business relationship with the consumer. Let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen. 3 months from the moment in time that lead was originated. Now, one thing you need to be careful with call centers, especially call centers overseas, that are selling you live transfers, and they're telling you that the origination came from Facebook, TikTok, Google. Be careful with call centers that say that, and the cost of their lead is, let's say, under $40. It's a major red flag. Because, again, if the lead was a fresh lead that they are generating, why would they have to transfer it to you? Why wouldn't they just sell you the inbound instead? As a call center myself, makes no sense monetarily. And what a lot of call centers do is that they cold call in that mix of numbers. They're also cold calling. So yeah, some of the numbers they're calling came from original valid sources, but then a lot of the numbers that these people are calling are cold numbers, and they're cold calling them to sell them insurance. And then once they get somebody somewhat interested, they fabricate an opt-in by going to their website and fabricating the opt-in on behalf of that client. Very easy to tell. Typically, those happen on the same day the live transfer was sent to the customer. A coincidence, the customer also opted in for the info. You can also tell by their VPN usage as well as IP addresses. It's not very hard to tell. So again, when cold calling, you also have to remember, after 90 days, you can only dial one number at a time. And again, that means that you can't load up the number and blast numbers, all 5,000 numbers at any given time. Nope. You've lost that privilege. You can only do it one number at a time. And after 90 days, remember, You can no longer text message. You can no longer call or use AI, or much worse, use any type of pre-recorded messages.
Mhm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, cold calling is not illegal, but you got to know what you're doing. And if you don't know, my advice to you is to play it safe and pay a little extra and buy an inbound. Or team up with a company that has a track record of delivering leads, that has no lawsuits against them for delivering leads, and you're going to find a solution that makes sense. For me and my team, the $55 inbound, as well as a live transfer, and every single one of our leads comes from these sources. So none of my agents are ever faced with a litigator because of any of our lead quality. So as you guys watch this, if you guys have any additional questions, please feel free to call me. You know, I've been selling insurance for 22 years and over the telephone since 2011. And I have had to make sure that every step that we do is followed by the guidelines. And I have had to myself self-educate you, hire attorneys to educate me, and so on and so forth. What you'll find, ladies and gentlemen, is that most life insurance agency managers provide zero training. Would you agree, Luis?
Absolutely.
Most IMOs that I have ever met, not one in my whole existence, except for Senior Life, has even talked to me about compliance. Insurance carriers, they put all the responsibility on their IMOs and their agents, and then the IMOs and agents don't do nothing. And if you don't believe me, ask yourself, when's the last time your manager or your carrier sponsored a TCPA training, a class, a DNC? When was the last time? And you'll find out that they never do, which to me, I don't know why. I currently have 3 lawsuits pending in federal court. Why? Because of negligence, not of ignorance. So I hope this helped you guys out, get a little bit more information. I know there's a lot of people out there that are talking about something they don't know, but we're on the phones every single day. We've been on the phones for years, not only selling insurance, but generating leads. So with that said, you guys have a great day. And if you need any help and any leads, go to my link below and order with us. You won't regret it. Peace.